Welcome to Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. Today is the day that Harry Kane goes to Munich for his medical ahead of his move to Bayern Munich. We're also going to do a preview of the match between Brentford and Tottenham at the G-Tech Community Stadium. We're away in our first match with Ange Postcoglou in charge of his first Premier League match, first competitive match as well. With me on the other side, I've got Ben, I've got Chuma. They will join us. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much. This is Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. We're back and we are previewing the match between Tottenham and Brentford away at the G-Tech Community Stadium. We're also talking about Harry Kane leaving. He's has had a career, and what a career at Spurs. I mean, we're going to look at that with me. I've got Ben. Ben, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, mate. And condolences on this day of mourning for Tottenham Football Club.
Well, some people would say probably happy days. I mean, not necessarily a day of money, depending on where you look at it from. Got plenty of Spurs fans who share that perspective, or who don't particularly share the negative perspective. Chuma, where do you stand on this?
Well, good day, happy Friday, sad Friday to Come On You Spurs Nation. For those who are watching for the first time as well, our usual thing is to ask you to like and subscribe and to leave a comment, especially what you want us to talk about. I think Harry Kane is going to dominate most of what we talk about, but if you could click on the notification bell, it'll let you know when we're putting out videos, posting. So keep you up to date. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for watching. For me, I'm actually optimist in this situation. Soji, like you usually are the positive person. I don't know how positive you are today, but for me, I'm not going online and doing what everyone else is doing. That you have people writing, people crying, people putting crying emojis and memes, and I'm thinking the real star of this show is Ange Postcoglou, and the man has done established names, have moved on, and he succeeded. So why should I fear?
Chuma, could you repeat that a little bit? The sound disappeared for a few seconds.
Sorry. I'm just saying that Ange Postcoglou has a history of players leaving or him moving players on established names, and he still comes back to win. He still succeeds. He still finds a way. He's about the team, not the individual. And Harry Kane was probably the greatest individual Tottenham has ever seen in their history. And he's moved on, but now the team has to rise. So who better to steer the ship than Ange Postcoglou?
That's a very good point. I mean,
That's
Ben,
absolutely right. Absolutely right.
say that again.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Ange does love a rebuild. He won't say no to the 100 mil or whatever the fee is. He will certainly have plans for spending that money. I mean, at Celtic, when he first arrived, he lost the captain, Brown. He lost the striker, Edouard. A. Griffiths, Christie, you name it. All of the sort of Premier League sort of quality players He lost all of those, and as we sort of touched on the last podcast, he was preparing for Champions League with kids. The proof is in the pudding. He rebuilt that squad after a sort of chaotic and shaky start. He won the double in his first season. They were calling for him to be sacked by Christmas, and he actually had already delivered them a trophy by Christmas. Then, sort of the following season, he won the treble. The rebuild was set to continue with the Champions League, obviously, bringing in players to sort of strengthen those areas that he felt needed more depth to be competitive in the Champions League. So, look, losing Kane is definitely a setback. There's no manager in the world that wouldn't be excited about working with Kane. But it won't bother him too much. He'll have a contingency plan. He'll have his eye on players that can do the job. This young guy Veliz from Argentina. Look, last time we spoke, we talked about the attributes of the striker that Ant would bring in if Kane were to leave, and we touched on that. Touch on the attributes that he would be, a very aggressive, hard running, fast player, passionate, willing to press. And I think, young Veliz ticks a lot of those boxes. Look, he's young. He probably wasn't sort of going to expect being thrown in the mix early on, but sort of with Kane's departure, I'm thinking, we might see Richarlison start, but maybe we might see Veliz sort of in the last 10 minutes. I'm sure Ange will be keen to sort of get him involved early, get his feet wet, and see what he can do.
Yeah, thanks very much. Clearly, Ange is not exactly a stranger to rebuild. He's done that, like you said, in Celtic, and he's got the excellent opportunity to make a fresh start here. And I think if we have a look back at what he said to Maddison when Maddison was about to sign up, and I'm pretty sure he's probably said the same thing to Kane and to everyone else as well. Look, whether you come or not, you will see a different Spurs, and I think that's what's going to happen again this time around. I have no doubt whatsoever that he will create a bit of magic when it comes to Tottenham going forward. But hey, it's a big sea change in Tottenham that this season. Obviously, it's your star figure, your icon, Spurs legend. You name it, Spurs. Tottenham have had Harry Kane from his days of his youth. It's regarded as a legend in Spurs books. And this is like coming to an end of an era. Chuma, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, for me, Kane was very unexpected. I've lived through an era of seeing very good strikers. The very first season I started supporting Spurs was the 49 goals of Clive Allen. And I remember distinctly the next year he wasn't scoring as much because Glenn Hoddle had gone by that time as well. Richard Gough had moved on. So we've seen very good goal scorers. And in 89-90, we got Gary Lineker. We had Gordon Jury. We had Robbie Keane. We've had Jermaine Defoe. We've had very, very good strikers, but all of them were expected. These are players that we knew were really, really good players. We knew they would deliver for Spurs. And then we even bought a big name striker at the time, Roberto Soldado from, I think he was a Valencia at the time. And he had really come through the Real Madrid academy. He was supposed to be really, really good. He scored really good goals for Valencia. And he showed up and he just, for personal reasons, different things were happening in his life at the time, as we subsequently found out. But he just did not ignite. And Spurs were at a crossroads. Gareth Bale had gone. We'd spent the money on 7 players, the Magnificent Seven, as they were termed then. And we needed something to happen. And then all of a sudden, this player who we had sent on loan to Norwich, to Leicester, and who had more or less failed to launch. He'd scored so many goals in our youth teams. Brought him back, and Tim Sherwood, to his credit, fielded him, and the guy hasn't stopped. Pochettino refined him and developed him, and he's worked very, very, very hard on himself, on his game, on his craft, and he's become, the shining beacon of what a Premier League striker, a Tottenham striker, but a Premier League striker is. He sets standards, and yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult or I would say challenging to move away from the shadow of Harry Kane. But as a Spurs fan who's seen what Ange Postcoglou has been doing over the last 6 weeks, I'm very, very encouraged as to where we could go with him. Of course, like Ben said, and I agree with Ben completely, he's a striker you would miss. Who wouldn't want the best striker, possibly one of the top 3 strikers in the world at the moment, playing for you? But if there is ever a manager who has worked or who's had so many different contingency plans when he's moved to a side and he's been faced with challenges and obstacles and has overcome them time after time, it's Ange Postcoglou. So, like I said at the start, I'm sorry to see Kane move. Really, really sorry to see him, especially the fact we didn't win anything with him here playing for us. He had a great core of players behind him as well at certain points. But, I think the future still has a way of unraveling and bringing great gifts as well. So I wish him well, and I wish us well as well.
Yes, Harry Kane has been a legend for Tottenham over the years. We don't have the clips to go over his fantastic goals. If you go online, you see a lot of his amazing exploits for Tottenham. I just want to sort of have a quick look at his record. I'm going to sort of pull up a graphic that shows the incredible record he's had with Tottenham. You want to talk us through that, Chuma, if you don't mind, yeah?
Yeah, no, of course. He's played 435 games, 280 goals, 64 assists, 3 golden boots. And like I said, it also doesn't tell you about all the other things there. Like there's this word, the hockey assist, the pre-assist, getting involved in play. He started off as a striker. He started coming deep, and then we looked at the Jimmy Greaves record, and everyone said, Jimmy Greaves was always going to stay up there. And Jimmy Greaves, who my dad loved so much, had a better scoring rate than Harry Kane. But in this modern era, this is an amazing goals to game ratio. My goodness, this is a 1 in 2 or 1 in less than 2 goals per games, and that's what you're looking for. This stacks up anywhere else in the world. And 3 golden boots here in tournaments as well for England. He scored great goals as well. He also picked the golden boot there as well. He's everything. He's, as the stats show, the only thing the stats don't do is win you trophies. And stats don't win you trophies. I'm reminded of the Bruce Lee line from Enter the Dragon where he said, boards don't hit back. Stats do not get you trophies. There are so many other things that have to be in play for you to win trophies. The kind of teammates you're surrounded by, the way your organization is led. And I think a lot of the complaints are going to be fielded today, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, are all going to be based on Daniel Levy and Enoch and their leadership and how they've wasted the talent of Harry Kane. Harry Kane's been at the club starting for almost 9 years now, and no changes. They did not surround him with enough. They didn't back him enough. And all these things might be true as well. But it doesn't take away from the fact that we got to witness from in majority, I'd say from 2014, 2015 season, that's when he peaked, or when he started to peak with Pochettino. We got to watch a man for 9 years just score some really amazing goals, different angles, different types of goals, in the box, outside the box, headers, long range shots. A master at his craft, and we got to watch him play for Spurs, support him at Spurs. And to be very, very fair, the man himself, he's a real gentleman. There are several times I think he could have forced moves away from Spurs. He could have done all these various things that we've seen other players do, but he's really, really, really respected the club and respected the fan base. I don't know how many will react to this. I'm seeing some very negative things about Harry Kane online, but I expect that from people online anyway. But for me, it's just a lot of gratitude, and I'm really, really grateful that I got to witness Harry Kane play for my club. And I really wish he had stayed. I really wish we'd done enough to make him stay. But now I look forward to the next chapter of life after Harry Kane and life with what Ange Postcoglou is going to do, how he's going to shape our side as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I can see Ben nodding his head in agreement with all of that, and I'm sure you've seen. I mean, I know people probably prefer to talk about Ange and how he's going to regroup after losing one of his key players. I mean, it's seen that done in Celtic, and you follow Celtic for quite a while, and you're probably a new sort of Spurs fan on account of Ange, and yeah. So I guess it's a lot to look forward to in that respect. But before we come to that, I know that you know this is going to build up all sorts of different narratives when it comes to Tottenham, the board, and how the whole thing has been handled and all of that. I mean, I think it's one of these things when you're between the devil and deep blue sea, if you like. I mean, on the one hand, as a club, I mean, in the past, Spurs have been known to sell their best players, you know, and it's like if Daniel Levy had sold him 2 years ago, I would said, oh yeah, he's gone for the money, you know. Now it's been sold, and people are still saying that Spurs have gone for the money. But on the other hand, if you think about it, I mean, if you didn't get sold at this point in time, I mean, you left with what are the options open to Tottenham? I mean, you end up losing him at the end of the year with no prospects of getting anything for him. He might even sign a pre-contract agreement with another club from January, and I mean, there's no prospect of him even signing an extension to his contract. So you have all this narrative about potentially he could win. Obviously, the record for having the highest number of goals if he stayed maybe one or two more years, but that would have to time into a longer term contract, which he may not necessarily have been interested in signing. And he's obviously gone on and done that. And you have people who sort of keep saying he lacks ambition for not going to other clubs. And that the club hasn't backed him in terms of being able to achieve his goals of winning a trophy. But I'm thinking to myself, Adam, you were there, you got us to two or three cup finals, right? You didn't, a few semi-finals in the process, but the team didn't perform, or you didn't perform. So I mean, who do you blame? That's all you can do. I mean, the club don't play the football. The players play the football. And if you are there, you don't score the goals. What happens? I mean, you can't blame the club for not, for not putting you in that position in the first place. And then again, you have the financial side of things as well, where people, I mean, always go on about how much of a Scrooge or what's my called skinflint Daniel Levy is. I think it's easy to have that perspective. But I remember watching Spurs at White Hart Lane, right? And where we were at that point in time, I mean, look, mid-table oblivion. That's in the last, but okay, granted, I mean, you had the Blackenshaw era, but I mean, when Levi took over the club, we were mid-table oblivion, Okay, the odd cup here and there, but we're never really challenging at the top of the game. Now we're probably in a better position financially, building up a much more stable base and giving us that sort of what you might call sustainable base to sort of grow the team and provide a sort of solid foundation. Not everyone will agree with me, but that's a perspective that obviously it just gets pushed to the back of the narrative when it comes to things like this. I mean, I wish Harry Kane well. He's done a fantastic job for the club. I can't fault his move, and I can't fault Daniel Levy either for. So I said, look, £100 million for a 30-year-old player. I mean, you're not going to get a better deal than that from anywhere in the world, So if Ange is a rebuilder, right? He's had history of having to rebuild teams over time. He's done that history with Royals, with Yokohama, with Celtic as well. And like I said earlier on in the program about what he said to Madison, we've got the makings of, a rebuild in our team. Now, of course, we have Brentford first game Sunday couple of days to prepare without Kane. He probably has had plan B in his head as to what he wants to, how he's going to line up. How do you see this panning out?
Well, you said what he said to Madison. I was very encouraged at that. If you come to the club, we'll do something great. Even if you don't come, we will do something great. And I remember there was a line. Sorry, I'm into quotes. The late great Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba himself, he sent a message to Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors. For those basketball fans in Common Youth Spurs Nation, when the Golden State Warriors, I think they won the most games in a season, but they still lost, I think, in the playoffs. And he sent a text to Draymond Green at his lowest point, saying to him, "If making history was easy, why bother?" And that's the point we are now. If making history for Tottenham Hotspur is so easy, why bother? If it's so easy for us to win a million league titles, it isn't. It's actually harder to win titles and cups at Spurs. And we have the perfect framework now, I think, for this to happen. And I know it's very sad. I know it's very sad times losing a great player. But looking forward to Brentford are a very physical side. They themselves are missing their main marquee players, as you remember, Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney is suspended for team malpractices till the next year. So they've had to rejig their side. They're still a very physical side, Brentford. And I think, for me, the main man is the same man who really took it to us last year as well, and that's Mbeumo. Mbeumo, to me, now is like the core, the focal point for this team. They're very hard side. There'll be lots of balls in the air. I think they've also watched our preseason. So I think Brentford will be aiming to play balls in behind our defenders to catch us off in the high line. And Mbeumo is very, very good. He's quite rapid, very good with his feet as well. But they also have other players in their team in midfield as well that can give Tottenham a game. But I think it'll be very interesting to see who Ange starts up front. There's talk of Richarlison yesterday. There were talks of him being injured or out for 3 months. He came out on social media to say it's fake news, but I think there's still some injury concerns for him. So we could end up seeing Sonny, playing up top. What do you think about that?
It's like, I really shouldn't be doing this of trying to get over Hurricanes loss and moving forward and all that sort of thing, but it's still surreal. That still feels like a real surreal day when you don't have your talisman. You always think, oh, you can always bring him on, or oh, you can always say, oh, and then I think what might happen, and I know Spurs people, they'll tell you that, oh, we're missing Harry Kane, we're missing the goal scorer and all that sort of thing, but what I hope will happen, this is me in my Optimus Primus mode, if you like. So look, the truth of the matter is, look, we're going to score a lot of goals, right? I just pray that it turns out that this season, when Kane leaves, it frees the shackles of the other team and the other members of the team, and obviously gives Ange Postcoglou that freedom, if you like, and say, look, yes, let's go and win something this season. And if we win something, I bet he will look back and will a bit rueful and say, okay, maybe I should have been part of that, but hey, that's what we hope for, But I think lining up against Brentford, I think we'll win that game. This is me being optimistic and seeing what he's done in preseason. The way he stifles opposition, the way he presses, and the way he sort of ensures that there's little or no turnover or transition from the opponents. So I think we'll do quite well. I mean, that's my perspective.
Yeah, I concur, and I also think this is just me, and I'm running this, and some people might say it's over positive or none of these players are proven, but my goodness, what a chip on their shoulder they now have to like say, look, we have to prove we are not the Hurricane team. Everybody is mourning. Everyone is saying Spurs will finish mid-table or relegation. We have very good players, and for the last couple of years, this one player, this one superstar we've had, has done so much to make everybody forget. Even those players forgot that they were good players. Till this preseason, you could actually see the shoots of promise, even in games when he didn't score in preseason. Yes, he scored 4 goals against Shakhtar Donetsk, but he scored a penalty before that. But these other guys came on in all the, and you could see the shoots of encouragement. And I think, believe it or not, I wrote this as a post for someone the other day on Twitter or X, that the Barcelona game, where none of the main guys really traveled, apart from Vicario and Højbjerg, Vicario and Bissouma that got on that pitch. My goodness, it showed them that, listen, if you buy in, if you listen to me, if we move together as a team, you train hard, work hard, play hard, keep going, don't stop, we could do wonderful things. That game has done so much for me that people go, yeah, but the result, you guys lost. But I think these guys are going to Brentford, and I think they're going there to prove a point. I think they're going there to be super aggressive, play as hard as they can, and whatever the result is, there's a thing about Ange, and they say he loses, like, in his first 3 games, he loses 2 or 3 games and all that, and it's quite possible that could happen, but I don't know why I can't see that happening. I'm very optimistic about what will happen this weekend, and then that would be the springboard. He would use that regardless of the result. If it's positive or negative, Andrew will still use it as, no, don't worry, we are still moving forward, and that's all I need to see from my team.
That's what happens to you when you hang around with Optimus Primus.
Yes, I am Chuma Optimus now.
Absolutely right. So, prediction for that game, what do you reckon?
I think they'll score, but I see 2-1 or 3-1 to Spurs.
I don't see Spurs scoring less than 3 goals per match this season, honestly. Because I'm not saying that lightly. From the way we play, they're going to create a lot of opportunities. I mean, going forward in games, and that it just shows very, very clearly that, I mean, it's going to be overloads, and people are going to get used to playing with each other, and plenty of opportunity, because we always camp in the opponent's box all the time. There are plenty of penalties against other teams, and I just see us doing really, really well this season. That's me. Anyway, that's Optimus for you. Right. Scoreline.
I said 3-1. I don't know what you. I said 3-1. You said
I'll probably say 3-0. Yeah,
I said 3-1.
Yeah.
You said 3-0. Okay. Yeah. We're still on there. 3 goals.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been Tottenham. It's been Common Spurs TV. A day when Harry Kane departs. Well, not quite. This is not quite day depart. Well, when he's gone for his medical, hopefully an announcement will be made in the coming days or coming few hours about his final departure. But it's been a great servant. He's been absolutely fantastic for us, and we wish him all the very best in the future. For us from here, you want final words from you, Shuma?
Yeah, long live King Kane. Ange's army keeps moving forward. Spurs keeps moving forward. So come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.